It was supposed to be a warm, soulful morning on the Today Show when country superstar Chris Stapleton sat down with Jenna Bush Hager and her co-hosts to promote his new album. From the moment the interview began, however, something felt tense. Jenna opened with her usual charm, complimenting Chris on his latest single, but then quickly shifted into questions about his outspoken views on the country music industry. Chris, known for being soft-spoken but brutally honest when pressed, gave short, clipped answers at first. The live studio audience sensed the unease, their polite laughter not quite covering the sharpness in the air. By the third question, Chris's jaw was tight, his eyes narrowing slightly, and it became clear to everyone watching that this wasn't going to be the easygoing interview anyone expected. Jenna, trying to balance lightheartedness with journalistic prodding, asked Chris whether he believed the industry was out of touch with modern audiences. Chris leaned forward in his chair, his deep voice dropping lower as he replied, "I don't believe it's out of touch, I know it is." The audience gasped softly at the bluntness. Jenna attempted to pivot with a smile, saying, "Well, that's a pretty bold statement." But Chris wasn't joking. "It's not bold, it's the truth," he continued. "Too many gatekeepers, telling artists what they can and can't do, what's marketable, and the soul of the music gets lost. I'm tired of playing along like it doesn't happen." Suddenly, the atmosphere in the studio shifted completely. What started as a casual morning chat now felt like a live confrontation. As Jenna pressed on, pointing out that some might see his comments as disrespectful to the tradition of country music, Chris's tone grew sharper. "Disrespectful," he repeated, shaking his head. "Respect isn't about protecting the system, it's about protecting the music. If people can't handle honesty, that's not on me." His words rang out with a finality that silenced the room. The other hosts, clearly flustered, tried to interject with lighter questions about his tours, but Chris barely looked at them. His frustration was written all over his face. Cameras zoomed in on Jenna, who still forced a smile, but even she looked rattled. Then came the question that tipped everything over. Jenna, her voice a touch too firm, asked, "But don't you think being this critical could alienate the very fans who've built you up?" Chris's expression hardened. He removed his hat, rubbed the back of his neck, and said slowly, "The fans built me up because of the music, not because I play nice on morning TV. I won't sit here and pretend for anyone." A ripple of shock and murmurs ran through the audience, and then, without another word, Chris pushed back his chair, stood up, and began walking off the set. The camera tried to follow him as he made his way past stagehands and toward the exit, his voice trailing behind as he muttered, "I'm done." Jenna, clearly stunned, attempted to call him back. "Chris, wait, we're live," but her voice cracked under the tension. The studio audience erupted in mixed reactions, some clapping, some gasping, some shouting encouragement toward Chris as he walked away. The abruptness of the moment sent shockwaves, not just through the studio but across millions of viewers at home watching the live broadcast. In the stunned silence that followed, Jenna tried to recover, turning back to the cameras with an awkward laugh. "Well, that was unexpected," she said, though her flushed cheeks betrayed her discomfort. One of her co-hosts quickly jumped in, attempting to steer the conversation back to the album, but the mood was broken. Everyone knew the story was no longer about music, it was about Chris Stapleton storming out of the Today Show. Within minutes, clips of the walkoff spread across social media. Fans rushed to Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, debating what had just happened. Some applauded Chris for standing up against what they saw as media provocation. Others criticized him, saying he had overreacted to routine questions. Hashtags like #ChrisStapletonWalksOff and #TodayShowDrama began trending worldwide before the hour was even over. Backstage. Chris reportedly refused to return, ignoring pleas from producers to finish the segment. A source later revealed he felt blindsided. He came to talk about his album, not defend his integrity on live TV. This explanation only fueled the fire further, with critics accusing the Today Show of pushing him too hard, while others argued that as a public figure, Chris should have been prepared for tough questions. By the afternoon, entertainment outlets were running with the headline, "Chris Stapleton Walks Off." The Today Show, after a heated clash with Jenna Bush Hager, talk radio picked up the story. Podcasts debated whether Chris had just committed career suicide or solidified himself as the most authentic voice in country music. Meanwhile, clips of the walk-off reached millions, turning what could have been a forgettable morning interview into one of the most talked-about TV moments of the year. Asterisk, as the dust settled. Chris released a brief statement through his team, saying, "I will always speak my truth, no matter the setting. Music deserves honesty." It was a short, defiant declaration that only solidified his fans' admiration. Jenna, on the other hand, addressed the incident on the following day's episode of The Today Show, admitting live TV doesn't always go as planned, and yesterday was tough. "But I have deep respect for Chris and his music. Whether viewers saw that as genuine or damage control didn't matter. The clash had already entered viral infamy." Cementing itself as a cultural flashpoint in live television history, the fallout from Chris Stapleton's dramatic walk-off didn't calm down overnight, but only intensified. By the next morning, country radio hosts across the nation were debating whether the star had embarrassed himself or made a heroic stand against what many called media fluff. Some DJs praised him for refusing to play along with what they described as fake morning TV niceties, while others criticized him for leaving Jenna Bush Hager hanging on live television. Country blogs ran opinion pieces with headlines like "Chris Stapleton, Outlaw," or "Out of Line," and even mainstream outlets like CNN and Rolling Stone weighed in, proving the clash had grown far beyond the music world. For Chris, the attention was overwhelming. Friends and family texted him nonstop, some congratulating him, others worried he had just jeopardized his brand. Asterix, meanwhile, producers at The Today Show were scrambling to save face. Rumors leaked that executives were furious with how Jenna had handled the interview, while others insisted the blame lay with Chris for being too sensitive. Behind the scenes, the show's PR team quickly arranged for Jenna to appear on an evening entertainment program to clarify the situation. When she did, Jenna chose her words carefully, saying, "I respect Chris Stapleton deeply. Our show has always been about celebrating artists, not tearing them down. Things got heated, but I hope people understand my intention was never to upset him." Her composed delivery did little to calm the frenzy, and if anything, her statement drew more speculation. Asterisk, Chris himself stayed quiet for nearly 48 hours, refusing interviews, skipping scheduled appearances, and avoiding the press altogether. Paparazzi photos of him in Nashville, wearing sunglasses and looking frustrated, only added to the mystery. When he finally broke his silence, it was through a short Instagram video. Sitting in his studio with a guitar in hand, he spoke directly. To his fans, "I didn't walk off because I was angry. I walked off because I wasn't being heard. Music is about truth. If I can't speak my truth, I won't stay in the room." The video went viral instantly, racking up millions of views and sparking a fresh wave of debate. Asterisk, industry insiders began weighing in. Some fellow country artists praised Chris for refusing to bow to TV pressure, with one even tweeting, "Stapleton just reminded us all why he's real country." But others criticized him for being unprofessional, pointing out that many stars face tough interviews without walking out. Kelly Clarkson, who has her own talk show, even mentioned it lightly on her program, saying, "Live TV is tough. Sometimes we laugh it off. Sometimes we storm off." Though she didn't name Chris directly, fans instantly connected the dots, and social media lit up with speculation about whether she was throwing shade. Asterisk, sensing an opportunity, rival talk shows began courting Chris for his first sit-down since the walk-off. Offers poured in from Good Morning America, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and even 60 Minutes. But Chris, ever the private figure, turned down most of them. Instead, he agreed to one interview with a respected country music journalist. Known for fairness, the announcement of this upcoming sit-down immediately became one of the most anticipated media moments of the year. Would Chris double down on his defiance, or would he soften his tone to repair his image? On the day asterisk, as weeks passed, the viral buzz refused to fade. Clips of Chris walking off were remixed into memes, TikTok edits, and even parody skits on late-night comedy shows. Far from damaging his career, Chris's walk-off gave him an unexpected edge. His upcoming tour saw ticket sales surge, with fans saying they wanted to support the man who won't sell out. His album, which had been climbing steadily, suddenly skyrocketed to #1 on the charts. Ironically, the controversy that was supposed to hurt him ended up cementing his place as country music's most authentic star. Asterisk, in